What is up, my friends? Welcome to Flippin Bats, where absolute chaos ensued over the weekend in Major League Baseball. There's less than 2 weeks of games left, about 12, 13 games left, and it all hit the fan over the weekend. Everything we thought we knew, we no longer know. We no longer know who's going to win the AL West. We no longer know if the New York Mets are going to make the playoffs because they have just absolutely crumbled. We don't know any longer if the Giants are going to make the playoffs. It seemed like an absolute no for the longest time, but they have clawed back into it. We don't know who's going to win the NL West. It's just chaos out there. The Giants are rolling. The Mets are crumbling. The Mariners are rolling. We have a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about all of this. We've done top 5 NL teams that could win the National League. We've done top 5 teams that can win the American League. This week, we're going to do top 5 teams that can win the World Series. It's also Monday. We're going to do power rankings. We're going to talk about Justin reaching 20 years of service time when he started on the mound on Friday against the Dodgers in what was one of the best games of the Major League Baseball season. Certainly, he threw incredible as well. 20 years of service time, which is really, really special. But as a younger brother, I also have to turn that really special conversation into my brother is so old that conversation, which might even be even funner. We'll see. But Flippin Bats is presented by FanDuel. Bet baseball with us all season long on America's #1 sportsbook. We're going to do a FanDuel segment at the end. Dinger Tuesday is on Tuesday. You guessed it. I got a couple players to get a 50% profit boost on for Dinger Tuesday on FanDuel Sportsbook. Fun week of baseball ahead. This is crunch time. This is what I live for. I eat, sleep, and breathe baseball, and now as I speak, it is September 15th. There's less than 2 weeks to go. Playoffs are around the corner. Chaos is ensuing in baseball, and things are absolutely rolling and awesome right now in the game of baseball. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Let's start with 20 years of service time on Friday for my brother. 20 years. 20 years. I was thinking about that during the game. We spoke after the game as well, just kind of wrapped up in the emotions of it. It is really special. Friday night against the Los Angeles Dodgers, and what was the biggest game of the year, his biggest game of the year, he reached 20 years of service time. He threw great. Threw incredible. 7 innings, 1 run. Giants end up winning that ball game in what ends up being maybe the best baseball game of the year. Walk-off grand slam and extra innings for Patrick Bailey. Justin threw incredible, just an awesome baseball game. You had the winning run thrown out at the plate by Andy Pages in the bottom of the 9th on a potential sac fly. In the top of the 10th, you had McRae throw out the runner running from second to third on an attempted advance to third on a fly ball. And then a walk-off grand slam in the bottom of the 10th. Fantastic baseball game. And then it's announced that it was 20 years of service time for Justin. And then it really just started hitting me. I'm an emotional guy. It really just started. I started thinking through what that means for me and my life. I was 13 years old when Justin made his debut in 2005. 13 years old, sitting up in the nosebleeds on 4th of July at Progressive Field in Cleveland. Why was I in the nosebleeds? Well, because my family, Justin, didn't know about the pass list for family. So we were just sitting, we just got in the stadium. I remember it to this day. My mom was screaming and going crazy, and the people around us were like, what's happening? And they're like, that's our son. And they're like, what are you doing sitting up here? Well, we didn't know. I was 13 years old. I finished middle school. I remember watching playoff games and taken out of school to go to playoff games in middle school. I went through high school. I got a Division I scholarship to play baseball. I had my college Division I career. I became an All-American in college. I got drafted. I had a professional baseball career that lasted 5 years. I played professional baseball. Now I'm 33 years old. I'm getting married soon, and I cover the sport for a living that my brother still plays. He's a surefire Hall of Famer, a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's done everything you could possibly want to do in a career. 3 no-hitters, Cy Youngs, an MVP award, countless All-Star games. He's done it all. He won a Cy Young award, won World Series after he came back from Tommy John, arguably the greatest season of all time for a pitcher at his age in 2022. And I'm here covering it, and he's still out there doing it. I am so proud of him. 20 years of service time. I am so proud of my brother. I can't even... It's wild to look back on. It's wild to look back on and think of like where I was when my brother started his career. And where I was 13 years old in middle school. Insane. So it was really cool to talk to him and to share that and just kind of get wrapped up in the emotions of what 20 years means and kind of just talk through everything I just said about like what it's meant through my life, what my life has looked like during that stretch. But in true younger brother fashion, naturally I just feel like I have to do my brother is so old that. Sort of, but related to baseball and what was happening when he entered the league. My brother, Justin Verlander, is so old that the year he debuted, it was the year that YouTube started. My brother is so old that when he debuted, gas was averaging $1.89. My brother is so old that he faced Julio Franco in spring training, who played in Major League Baseball when Satchel Paige did. Kind of. It was a publicity stunt. Satchel Paige came back and pitched at like 73 years old in the big leagues for Kansas City. But he did face Julio Franco in spring training, who did face Steve Carlton, Nolan Ryan. I mean, pretty crazy. My brother is so old that Bartolo Colon was skinny when he debuted. Long before Big Sexy was a thing. Bartolo Colon was skinny. Truly, truly insane stuff. I mean, a little then versus now sort of thing. My brother is so old, just had to. But at the end of the day, I am so proud of my brother. And to be able to see him reach 20 years of service time and to be able to talk to him on the phone and say, I am so proud of you. And there's obviously the jokes, which I am absolutely willing to make and going to make. But like at the end of the day, it's historic, it's incredible, and I could not be more proud of him as his younger brother. And speaking of that start on Friday, his last start to this day, his last start on Friday was incredible. His biggest start of the year. He's been throwing fantastic. And then he goes out and throws in the biggest game of the year against the Dodgers, playoffs on the line. Goes out and throws 7 scoreless innings, and they win it in extra innings. Just a fantastic baseball game. But why are playoffs on the line for the Giants? Well, it's because of the New York Mets. The New York Mets are crumbling. Crumbling. The Mets are cursed. I don't know what else to say anymore. The Mets are cursed. They are crumbling. The Mets are Metsing harder than the Mets have ever metted before. I mean, they just went on the longest losing streak they've had since 2018. This is crunch time. It's crunch time. You have to win. Your playoff hopes are crumbling in front of you. You are well within it. At one point, the New York Mets were 20 games over 500. At the end of their 8-game losing streak, they were 3 games over 500 and out of a playoff spot. Now they're currently back in one by a game and a half, but they are right on the edge. Longest losing streak since 2018. And they've lost so many games in so many different ways. Unacceptable base running blunders. Look, physical errors happen. Offensive slumps happen. But mental errors can't. Mental errors can't happen. And you're just seeing them time and time again with this Mets team now. Offensive slumps happen, but their K percentage is way up. Their strikeout looking percentage has almost doubled. To me, that's a bunch of guys that are second guessing themselves at the plate right now. That's a bunch of guys going through it, second guessing themselves at the plate. And then it just starts snowballing from there. That's why you hear all the time that it's just a snowball effect. When one guy gets a hit and another guy gets a hit, it just starts piling up. Well, that happens in reverse. And we're seeing that with the New York Mets. We're seeing it snowball downhill terribly. And then we're seeing mental errors pile on top of that. And that's why it's just been so bad for the New York Mets. They have gone from winning the division to the first place wildcard team to just crumbling. 20 games over 500, all the way down to 3 games over 500 and out of a wildcard spot. It has just been brutal for the New York Mets. And that's how the Giants have climbed back into it. The Giants are rolling. Now, they did end up losing the last 2 games to the Dodgers in that series. So they end up losing that series to the Dodgers. But when they won that Friday game, they moved into a playoff spot for the time being. Drew Gilbert is a psycho, and he has saved the San Francisco Giants season. It is incredible to watch. Drew Gilbert is unapologetically himself. He was that way in Tennessee. A lot of people don't like the way that the Tennessee Volunteers play baseball. A lot of complaints to be had from their head coach on down. Well, Drew Gilbert embodies what that means. I love it. Flip your bat. Show your emotion. The kid's a psycho, and they're absolutely rolling because of him. A team that sold at the trade deadline, sold their high leverage relievers, sold their leadoff batter, sold their stud defensive right fielder, yet now they have hunted down the team that they sold to. Tyler Rogers went to the New York Mets. They sold to the Mets. And now they've hunted down that team and could potentially kick them out of a playoff spot. That's why I say the Mets are metting harder than they've ever metted before. Because this would just be an all-time low. But the Giants are rolling. It's not just because of Drew Gilbert, but I do believe it's because of that energy that Drew Gilbert is bringing to the team. It's largely because Rafi Devers is absolutely rolling at the plate. Willie Adames is rolling at the plate. The pitching staff is doing awesome. There's obviously a lot of reasons, but we have ourselves a race in the NL wildcard, and it's because the Mets have crumbled as hard as they have. But the Giants are playing good baseball. They're back in this thing. They were out of it. Now they're back in it. The Reds are back in this thing. They were out of it. Then they were in it, and now they're kind of out of it again because they allowed themselves to get swept by the Athletics. The Diamondbacks are in this thing, but mostly it's the Giants sitting right there on the cusp of the Mets, and it is just absolute chaos in the NL wildcard race right now. What else over the weekend? Tarek Skubal came out of the game injured. He's okay. So if you saw Tarek Skubal be removed from the game, holding his left side, MRIs came back clean. I also saw he's expected to make his next start. So thankfully, Tarek Skubal's okay, because that would mean the end of the Tiger season if Tarek Skubal was done. But just a lot over the weekend. A lot of awesome things. We're going to talk Astros, Mariners, Rangers as well coming up here soon, because there's a couple of segments we're going to do that are going to talk about a couple of the teams. But we're going to start with top 5 teams that can win the World Series. Again, we've done American League, teams that can win the American League, teams that can win the National League over the last couple of weeks, but now we're going to do top 5 teams that can win the World Series. And we're going to start at number 5 with the San Diego Padres. The Padres are a dang good baseball team. They do everything well. Really good starting pitching, studs offensively, everywhere you look. Manny Machado, Fernando Tatis, Jackson Merrill is back healthy and playing good baseball. Luis Ariz is going to hit around 300 for you at any point and any time. He could hit 300 in his sleep. The additions that they made at the trade deadline, getting Ramon Laureano, they got Freddie Fermin behind the plate, Ryan O'Hearn. It's just a really deep lineup with a rotation that has Yu Darvish back now, and Michael King and Dylan Cease, a back into the bullpen that's the best in baseball. They have the blueprint to win in October. They have the stars to win in October. And though they haven't been playing their absolute best, or though they might not win the NL West, I do believe that they can win the World Series. I think they're that good. And number 4, the New York Yankees. I had the Yankees a couple weeks ago. I had the Yankees as the number 1 team that can win the American League. Now, a big reason for that is Cam Schlittler. He's a stud on the mound. He's nasty, and I think pair him in that rotation, and I think the Yankees absolutely can win the World Series. They have their issues. They don't play the best defense in the world. They don't run the bases very well, and Aaron Judge isn't good in October. That needs to change, but if it does, they can win the World Series. Their top of the rotation can be nasty. They certainly have the star power to do it. I think the Yankees are absolutely one of a few teams that can win the World Series. Not a few. There's more than 5, but this is my top 5. I also want to talk about Jazz Chisholm for a second, because Jazz Chisholm Jr. played his 162nd game for the New York Yankees a few days ago. That, in case you didn't know, is a full season of baseball. 1 full season of Major League Baseball, 162 games. These are Jazz Chisholm's numbers over the course of 162 games. 40 home runs, 97 RBIs, 99 runs scored, an 823 OPS, and 48 stolen bases. 40 home runs, 48 stolen bases, and 97 RBIs. Those are superstar numbers. These are the numbers that mega superstars put up. 40-40, 40-48. Stop hating on Jazz Chisholm Jr. and appreciate what this man is doing in the biggest market in the world. This dude's putting up superstar numbers. He's a hell of a human, by the way. I love the guy. I love talking baseball with him. He's awesome. He's great for the sport. He's fantastic for the game of baseball. He's playing in the biggest market in the world, playing whatever position is asked of him. Hey, Jazz, we have a third base issue. Go play we need you to play third base for us. Okay. Yeah, I'll do it. All right, we need you to go back to second base. Okay. Yeah, sure. I'll do it. I love me some Jazz Chisholm, and I think he deserves more respect. Combining, it's not a full season of stats. It's combining last year and this year, his time with the Yankees, but 40 home runs, 48 stolen bases, 99 runs scored, 97 RBIs, and 823 OPS. That's a superstar. That is a superstar. Jazz Chisholm Jr. brings energy to this team that they desperately needed. Desperately. The Yankees were just boring for a while. I said this when he got traded over there. This is huge. I think Jazz is a stud of a player. He's an all-star. But he brings an energy that this team needs. And I still believe that to be true. So the Yankees, sure, Jazz Chisholm's a reason they can win the World Series, but the Yankees can win the World Series because of Jazz Chisholm, Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton, the pitching staff, Fried, Rodon, Schlittler. I think Devin Williams will be good for them in the playoffs. I know his numbers look terrible, but his advanced analytics, his advanced metrics look good. The Yankees are a team that can win the World Series. At number 3, I do have an American League team that has passed them, because the Seattle Mariners have passed the Houston Astros in the American League West. They are winners of 9 games in a row, and they've just been knocking on the doorstep for seemingly a month. And it happened. They have passed the Houston Astros in the American League West. They are the hottest team in the American League. And I believe the Seattle Mariners can win the World Series because they can pitch. I promise you this. Nobody will match up with the Mariners in the playoffs and think, okay, I like this. I feel great about this. No, you're going to have to go through a gauntlet of a pitching staff and then a nasty back end of the bullpen. And they added enough offense to be a formidable offense. Julio Rodriguez, since the start of August, is hitting .315 with a bunch of homers. The dude is a superstar. The Mariners are legit. And I do believe with the pitching staff the way it is, and the back end of the bullpen the way it is, and the offense of Eugenio Suarez and Josh Naylor that they added at the trade deadline, and pair that with what they did have, I do believe the Mariners are the team that can come out of the American League now and win it. They are a team you just don't want to run into with the pitching staff. And they have been just climbing the AL West, and now they passed the Astros. The Astros haven't been playing great baseball. We'll see if they're still in the power rankings here soon. But now they've finally passed them. They do play each other this week. The AL West, the Astros play the Rangers to start the week, and then the Astros play the Mariners at the end of the week. We're going to get a lot of big games here in the AL West this coming week. The picture will not look the same as it does right now. The Mariners are 1 game up on the Astros, and I believe the Rangers are 2.5 back from the Astros, who are in the final wild card spot. So there's a lot going on here. But I do think the Mariners, with what they've done at the trade deadline, paired with everything they have this year, Cal Raleigh's an MVP candidate. He's right now tied with Mickey Mantle for the most home runs in a season for a switch hitter. It's remarkable what he has done. One of the greatest seasons ever for a catcher, Cal Raleigh. So the Mariners are legit, and that atmosphere is always awesome in October. And for those of you that might sit here and say, okay, wait a second, you're taking a team in the Seattle Mariners that has never won a World Series and hasn't proved they can win a World Series. You're taking them as a team that can win the World Series? And my answer to that is absolutely. I don't care. I don't care about they've never won a World Series before. And there is something to knowing how to win in October. And this is, I believe, a year that the Mariners are going to have to prove that big time. But I often don't care of track record if it doesn't matter. Okay, the Seattle Mariners have never won a World Series in their franchise history. That doesn't matter to this current team. They had nothing to do with that. It's like in college football when it's okay, the Texas Longhorns haven't been beaten by the whoever in 18 consecutive meetings. It's okay, 18 meetings ago, these guys weren't alive. Who cares? It doesn't matter. So to me, what matters is that this Mariners team needs to figure out how to win in October, but it doesn't matter if the franchise has ever won a World Series before. I believe they can. They just have to learn, and this has to be the year. This is the best Mariners team that I have seen in a long time. They need to learn how to win in October, and I think with the pitching staff and the back end of the bullpen and the offense that they added paired with what they already have, the Seattle Mariners can win the World Series. And I don't think it matters as much if I don't need them to win the division for that to happen because their pitching staff is so deep. And number 2, my number 2 team that can win the World Series, the Los Angeles Dodgers. This is why the Los Angeles Dodgers are set up great to win the World Series. Because even if they do end up playing in the wild card series, which they're most likely going to finish as a 3 seed in the National League behind the Brewers and the Phillies, they're probably going to have to play in the wild card series. This is why I still believe they're set up great to win the World Series. Because, oh no, we have to start Shohei Ohtani or Blake Snell or Tyler Glasnow in game 1 and then get back to Yamamoto after the wild card series. Their pitching rotation is so deep that let's say you have to play all 3 games in the wild card series. And let's say you go Yamamoto, Snell, Glasnow. You are starting the NLDS game 1 with Shohei Ohtani on the mound. And then game 2, you're getting back to Yoshinobu Yamamoto. The rotation is so good and so deep that to me it doesn't affect them terribly. They're probably the least affected team if they get in via a wild card, which is a similar thing I said with the Mariners because of their rotation. If they happen to play in the wild card series as the division winner number 3, it's not a huge deal other than, of course, having to win another series, which is never a guarantee. They still have to play another series, but I don't believe it affects their rotation all that much. So with 3 MVPs at the top of the lineup and an incredibly deep rotation and a back end of the bullpen that I have many concerns about, but what team doesn't have concerns right now? I think this team absolutely is capable of going back-to-back and winning another World Series. So The Dodgers, for me, are number 2. The Los Angeles Dodgers are still absolutely capable of winning the World Series. And at number 1, my number 1 team that can win the World Series, the Philadelphia Phillies. Look, I think a couple weeks ago, the Philadelphia Phillies were presented the biggest A couple weeks ago, the Philadelphia Phillies were presented the biggest roadblock of the year. Right? Their ace, their stud, Zach Wheeler, as a blood clot in his shoulder. And that went far beyond baseball. The question wasn't immediately like, is Zach Wheeler going to get back for us this year? It was, is Zach Wheeler going to be okay? Like, that's a big deal. And he ended up undergoing surgery and having it removed, and everything went okay. But he is not going to pitch again this year. So the Philadelphia Phillies were presented a situation where their best pitcher and one of the best pitchers in the game is going to miss the rest of the season. And you had an opportunity in that moment. You were either going to go in one direction. The day Zach Wheeler was officially done for the year was the day that the Philadelphia Phillies had a direction to go in. They were either going to go up or they were going to go down. They chose up. They've been fantastic. Everyone has stepped up big time. The rotation has really stepped up. Luzardo's coming back to dominating. Christopher Sanchez, 3 earned runs in his last 3 starts. Ranger Suarez, 1 earned run in his last 4 starts, and a 0.88 ERA in his last 5 starts. The offense is incredibly deep. Yohan Duran at the back end of the bullpen might be the best closer in the game of baseball. He's just unhittable. He is lights out. And that is the recipe to win in October. Look, I get Zach Wheeler went down, and I do believe that hurts their chances. It certainly doesn't help them, but everyone else has stepped up, and the rotation is still good enough. You know, you still have the capability to throw out a dominant pitcher every single game. Now, Aaron Nola needs to figure it out. He had a really good start 2 ago and then a bad one over the weekend, but he's been a big part of them for their playoff runs in the past. But if he doesn't turn it around, you still have Luzardo, Chris Sanchez, and Ranger Suarez as absolutely disgusting studs to throw at you. A bunch of lefties, a bunch of southpaws that are nasty. A deep, deep lineup. The Phillies, to me, are the number 1 team that absolutely can win the World Series. So my top 5 teams that can win the World Series is Padres, Yankees, Mariners, Dodgers, and Phillies. Which leads into power rankings. It's Monday. Monday means power rankings. There is a shift. There is a good bit of a mix-up here this week, and we're going to start at number 10. Out of the AL West at number 10, new to the power rankings this week, is not the Seattle Mariners. It is the Texas Rangers. 2 games back of the Astros for a wild card spot now. They are definitely hotter than the Astros. They play them the first few games of the week, so this could easily shift over the next few days. But as we speak right now, after an iffy week, a bad series against the Toronto Blue Jays, then a better series against the Atlanta Braves, but an iffy week altogether for the Astros again. The Rangers playing hot. I'm going to move them into the power rankings here at number 10. At number 9, also new to the power rankings this week, and also from the AL West, winners of 9 games in a row, and now leading the American League West by 1 game over the Houston Astros, is the Seattle Mariners. I talked about them a while earlier, but for many reasons. The Seattle Mariners are a very good team, a tough team to beat in the American League, and maybe, in my opinion, not maybe in my opinion, they are, in my opinion, the team to beat in the American League as a whole right now. I don't know if they win the division, but with the way that pitching staff is set up and the rest of this team, they are set to compete in October. At number 8, the Chicago Cubs, staying the same, 5.5 games back in the Central. They are leading the NL wildcard race. They are a playoff team. It's a matter if they can hunt down the Brewers to win the division. But with it seems unlikely. They're running out of games to do that. At number 7, the Detroit Tigers, staying the same, 6.5 games up in the AL Central. They're going to win the Central. They've just been kind of cruising for a couple months. Tarek Skubal injury scare, but he's apparently okay and going to be back. Their season was over if he went out. So thankfully, he's back. At number 6, down 1 spot, the San Diego Padres, 2.5 back of the Dodgers in the West. second in the NL and second in the wild card race in the NL. They're going to be a playoff team. They're going to be a force to be reckoned with in the playoffs. But they're here at number 6 for me. At number 5, the Los Angeles Dodgers, up 1 spot, 2.5 up over the Padres in the division. They lost on Friday, but they did win a huge weekend series against the San Francisco Giants in San Francisco. Big few games coming up for them. Another 4 games against the Giants at home in Los Angeles over this coming weekend. So they're 2.5 up right now in the NL West. They feel good about where they are, but we'll see how this week goes. At number 4, down 1 spot, is the New York Yankees. Now, they won a huge weekend series against the Boston Red Sox. 1, 2 of 3. Massive, massive series, but they did lose earlier in the week to the Detroit Tigers. They're still not – they're behind the Yankees. They're behind the Blue Jays in that division. So I bumped them down 1 spot because I bumped the Blue Jays up over them to number 3 in this week's Power Rankings. Blue Jays, winners of 4 in a row. 4 games up now over the Yankees in that division. It is looking, look, anything can happen, but 4-game lead with about 12 to go. Blue Jays are feeling good about their chances. They're playing really good baseball right now. I bumped them up to number 3. At number 2, down 1 spot to number 2 is the Milwaukee Brewers. They were swept by the Texas Rangers early in the week. They went 2-4 on the week. So I just bumped them down 1. They still do have the best record in baseball, but after that sweep by the Rangers and then losing 1 over the weekend, they were the first team to clinch in all of baseball. But they're just not playing quite as well as they were, but they're still very good. They're more so down to number 2 because the team at number 1, up 1 spot, is the Philadelphia Phillies. A huge 4-game sweep of the New York Mets early in the week, followed by a weekend series win against the Kansas City Royals. This Phillies team, in my opinion, is the most complete team in all of baseball, and they're going to be a force to be reckoned with in October. So 10-1 this week is Rangers, Mariners, Cubs, Tigers, Padres at 6. Top 5 is Dodgers, Yankees, Blue Jays, Brewers, Phillies, meaning the Houston Astros are out of my top 10 currently. It just hasn't been pretty for the Astros. The American League West is absolute chaos right now. 3 teams that can win it and 3 teams that are all playing each other a bunch over the next couple of weeks. So I this week in particular is the biggest, with the Astros playing the Rangers and then the Astros playing the Mariners. So everybody within 3.5 games of each other, between the Mariners at the top and then the Astros and then the Rangers. It's all up for grabs. This division is going to be awesome. The Rangers deserve a ton of credit for what they have done while not having Corey Seager and Marcus Semien in their lineup. The rotation dealing with injuries as well. Nathan Eovaldi injury. It's just, I don't know how the Rangers are doing this, to be honest, but they deserve a lot of credit for doing it. And the American League West is absolute chaos right now. Absolute chaos. Who wins the West? Who's to say at this point? If I had to pick in the right here and the right now, who wins the American League West? Look, I still think the Mariners are a team to beat in October, and maybe the best team set up to win in the American League. But I think the Astros, I still think, if I had to pick right now, I think I'd pick the Astros to win the American League West. They're 1 game back. They play each other, and seemingly the Mariners always crumble when it comes time to put the Astros away. Until that's not the case, I'm going to pick them to crumble against the Astros. And then they better hope they don't play the Astros in the playoffs. We shall see what happens there. But those are my top 10 power rankings this week. Let's talk FanDuel real quick. FanDuel segment, because Flippin Bats is presented by FanDuel. Tuesday is Dinger Tuesday. There it is on FanDuel Sportsbook, where you can pick one player to get a 50% profit boost to hit a home run. I got 2 picks for you this week. One is going to be Eugenio Suarez of the Mariners. He's 15 for 33 against Michael Wacha with an OPS over 1,200. Sees him real well. Another one is going to be Geraldo Perdomo. 3 for 3 against Carson Seymour with a homer. Love those numbers. He sees him well. So Geraldo Perdomo, 3 for 3 against Carson Seymour. Those are my 2 picks, Suarez and Perdomo, check those out on FanDuel Sportsbook, where, again, every Tuesday is Dinger Tuesday. You get a 50% profit boost. I also put out picks on my social media pretty much every day, just regular picks or same-game parlays on my Twitter at Ben Verlander, where I put out my FanDuel picks almost every day. So check those out as well if you want to see them. But a fun show this next week is about to be chaos. John Smoltz joins in a couple days. We'll talk to him all about things happening around the league. Home Run Derby X finals are coming up this weekend as well. If you don't know much about Home Run Derby X, it is a 3v3 co-ed home run derby competition with former MLB studs and some softball superstars. It's a co-ed 3v3 home run derby competition, and it is so much fun. It's been going on for a little while, a couple years, but this year's season, if you will, has been going on for a while, and it all leads up to this Friday in Salt Lake City, where the wild card rounds will take place, and then the semifinals and the finals will be taking place on Saturday in Salt Lake City. Some absolute legends and studs are taking place in this, so it's really cool. And Thursday, I'll talk more about it as we lead into Friday, but a really cool event that they do. Started by my guy Nick Swisher. Nick Swisher is a big part of that, so that's coming up this weekend. So a lot of fun, really fun episode. Baseball is absolutely rolling right now. It's chaos. What happens with the Mets? Are the Mets going to blow it? That's the biggest talk to me right now. Are the Mets going to blow it? And we'll know more on Thursday when we talk to John Smoltz. But until then, my friends, check us out on all social media at Flippin Bats Pod everywhere. And if you never have, please watch on our social media channel. Flippin Bats Pod is our YouTube channel. I hop in the comments on every episode and talk to you guys and really love having a conversation with all of you. Please like and subscribe to the channel there. That really does help. And if you listen on podcasts, please follow, subscribe wherever you listen, Apple, Spotify, wherever. But it does really mean a lot. 2025, the year of Flippin' Bats. And man, it's the year of baseball. We're rolling right now in baseball. I love it. We're coming down the home stretch, and we'll be back in a couple days to talk more about it with the Hall of Fame legend, John Smoltz. But until then, my friends, remember, find your bat and flip it. Peace. Flippin' Bats is presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. Must be 21 and older and present in select states. For Kansas, an affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 and older and present in D.C. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. Or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York.